A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back once again to HJN Season 5. So while some people have been commenting on some of my episodes, some people might file in requests via email or whatnot, and some might have various ideas for other content, I'll be more than happy to be as open-minded as possible about these things, but for our next topic, number 2680, we'll be specifically talking a bit about parenthood. And parenthood it shall be for the day. Parenthood is, as it simply implies, the process of maintaining good responsibility, care, and welfare check for the likes of children. Anybody whom is below the legal ages of 21, 18, 14, and etc. These are basically milestones, or thresholds even, in which that a child will grow up to be a teenager, a young adult, then a middle-aged, and elderly. The stages of life are always considered, especially throughout the first 20 or so. Sometimes they can go beyond the age of 20 depending on what's going on, and there's a lot of factors by this point. There's someone's health, physical or mental, or even emotional for that matter, as we know of today, can sometimes be a bit challenging. But in the end, we're all looking forward to a good time with family and friends. Whether it be from a long day at work that we might have had, or it could be from other stuff as a whole. Parenthood is actually the one thing that helped allow us to walk, then run, duck, dodge, dive, and yeah, I'm almost quoting the film Dodgeball at this point. But the way I see it though, parenthood was quite a big process. Even on my part, I've had a lot to do with life itself, and some people have even gone on to claim that I have gifts. What exactly would these gifts be? Well, the thing is, at a young age I was diagnosed not only with a rather good IQ, but also autism spectrum disorder. As some might know by this point, especially given to the fact that I have been utilizing various pictures, videos, and whatnot as a means to represent my mental status as a whole, the thing is, the way I was raised over the years had a lot of ups and downs, as should notably be expected. I'm certainly not going to be in a wealthy family in which I get put millions of dollars worth of gifts, toys, and whatever cuisine I could possibly eat, or even the finest three-piece suits. No, I have no need for that. But at the same time, I'm somehow not exactly in the clutches of a more poverty lifestyle, like that of some people in larger cities like New York, Sacramento, some parts in Milwaukee and Chicago. But in the end, while Milwaukee is considered to be a large part of my overall lifespan, Menominee Falls, a place that's miles away from Milwaukee itself, seemingly is what ultimately led to my life where I grew up significantly, especially from the ages of 6 to 24, and beyond that point in which that I currently reach, 26. Though I will, in fact, be 27 after a while. And then 28, 29, and whatnot. Like anybody ever would, I once had parents. I took it upon myself, however, to move out of state years ago. While living up in the Northwest, it was more than just an eye-opener for me to understand the reality as it stands at the moment. It was a big point in time in which most people would blame a certain worldwide problem for how the economy ended up upshifting so high that you couldn't even afford a single month's worth of rent. And that partly was how I ended up having to move all the way back to Wisconsin. I'm sure that a few $1,000s would not have gone down the drain if I had not gone there at all, but what was the point in that? What was the point in not finding myself at that time? And not only that, but I now have full ownership and control of this house because of what I did back there. So I guess you could say that the eye-opening experience of the Northwest telling me that the reality is not at all like how one would normally imagine it. It really is, without a doubt, something that nobody would expect to happen. Regardless of that, though, all the years that I've lived, having had many parents over the years, some marriages, divorces, some tragedies, injuries, sicknesses, a lot of things have really changed me, the way I've perceived things overall. And when it all came down to, eventually, the time for me to go to bed, whether it be from a night of school or otherwise, I guess you could say that I was fortunate to even have parents at all. Whether they were good or bad was more or less up for the more personal points of my life, which I don't need to share at this point. At least not anymore. But now that they're gone, am I supposed to feel depressed about it? Or am I supposed to move on? Like adults must do. Yeah, it's probably going to be the latter. Because if I don't move on, then how am I supposed to forgive myself? Well, I feel like I've gone a bit down the rabbit hole. But it was at least a good moment for me to have to explain a lot of things that went down. And of course, me expressing my honesty, it is still the best policy. I can thank Mr. Uttenreither for at least convincing me to kickstart a new series on my channel. But anyways, I'll be back tomorrow with more subjects. And I still got a good amount of what's left to go. I mean, look at all this. Pages upon pages upon pages of this stuff. But make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side for more.